for their futures.
The Honourable Joe Goodhue.
Well, this afternoon, Mr Speaker, we've heard about seeds of doubt, we've heard about kernels of confusion. I'm going to talk about firm resolve, and it is the firm resolve of this government. We need to build a more competitive and productive economy based on savings and investment and away from the debt borrowed from foreign lenders. It seems really, really strange to me that there are still members in this House who don't get that. We see on television most nights a whole new set of disasters around the world based on the economies, in particular in Europe and elsewhere. And when we see those disasters, there is just a bit of an inkling amongst some New Zealanders that maybe we should feel quite proud of ourselves and quite insulated from that. But no, New Zealand should not feel insulated from that. And one way of protecting ourselves and for increasing the insulation is to protect ourselves from more debt. Our mixed ownership policy is part of a wider economic program to reduce debt, to increase savings and get our country through what has been one of the worst economic crises in 100 years. And it's also very much an integral part of our 120-point post-election plan. Again, I want to repeat the most important factor in there. The national government does not want to increase debt. Now, our plan to introduce the mixed ownership model was a fulsome one. We are not going to be accused of treachery that saw Labor dumped out of office, and we've heard Mr Mallard talk about it today, after selling too many assets. As Trevor Mallard reminded the House this afternoon, MPs lost their seats. The public of New Zealand were appalled, and the main reason they were appalled was they were not consulted. That is very, very different to what has happened in this case. Our fulsome plan involved 10 long months of campaigning on what we were going to do. We spelt it out time and time again. We said we will go and seek a mandate. What more can you do than to say that's what you plan to do? And what a better result can you get than 47.5% of the population saying, well, we might be a bit uncomfortable about it, but you've got the right... My apologies, Mr Speaker, but the National Party has got the right plan for New Zealand. We like it more than anyone else's, and anyone who doubts that should go and look at the election day results of the other parties and just see if any of them came anywhere close. 10 long months of campaigning, 10 long months of asking for a mandate, and what did we get? 47.5%. Unfortunately, there are still people out there in New Zealand who believe this title of asset sales, because you will never see or hear opposition members describing it as a mixed ownership model, because that doesn't suit them. You see, members on that side of the House actually quite like mixed ownership models. They introduce them. Let me give as an example the Right Honourable Winston Peters, who just happened to sign the prospectus for the shares in Auckland Airport. He's now calling mixed ownership models treacherous, but he seems to have quite a short-term memory, given that he signed as Deputy Prime Minister that prospectus for a mixed ownership model. There are other really good examples of mixed ownership models which probably have been supported by the opposition, including Ports of Tauranga. Air New Zealand was another one. In fact, it probably pays right now to again look at what we will gain by going down this track. Avoiding debt. I come back to my principal point. This is about avoiding more debt. A broader pool of investments for New Zealand savers, deeper capital markets, money for 21st century schools, for hospitals and priority infrastructure, less exposure to debt in volatile markets. I'll say it again. More of a successful mixed ownership model, as evidenced by the success of Air New Zealand, of Auckland Airport, of Ports of Tauranga. Up to, and this is a personal favourite of mine, up to 400 million as equity investment in irrigation projects. A very personal favourite for someone coming from Canterbury.
Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.